Okay. Today, I want to discuss the controversial topic of forgiveness. Okay, I am unmuted. The forgiveness, yes, to forgive or not forgive, is it required in order to heal and move on? So, I've got two controversial statements for you, and let's see if you have a preference. Okay. You must forgive in order to heal and move on. That's the first statement. The second statement: forgiveness is not necessary in order for you to heal and move on. Yeah. There's differing schools of thoughts on forgiveness, and I want to just give you my personal take on it. I'm Dana Atwood. I'm the owner of Atwood Hypnosis, and I am not a therapist. And these videos are not designed to replace a therapist. They're just helpful topics of conversation. So let's see if we can make this even more controversial. Okay, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Right. Okay. Most of us know that Bible verse, John 3:16. And if you grew up with it, especially, and even if you didn't, it's definitely infiltrated our whole society. And what I think it's done is it's given us this idea that forgiveness is always an action of love for the entity you're forgiving. And I'm not saying that this is not a Christianity bashing video, and I'm not even saying they're wrong for feeling that way, nothing like that. I'm just saying that here in the real world, as we deal with each other and ourselves, that maybe we don't always need to see forgiveness in that light in order to heal and move on. So I think when we have that idea that, oh, I forgave them because I love them, I think that's troubling if you're someone who's experienced trauma. If you've experienced trauma, I don't want to trigger anyone and like name horrific things that could have happened to someone, but I'm sure you guys can imagine. If someone's experienced intense trauma, the last thing that's going to be helpful for them is for a therapist or a life coach or a hypnotist or a friend or a family member or the community to say, oh, you have to forgive them. You need to love everyone. Nope, sorry. I'm not. I'm not going to class in that school. Okay. So, how can you look at forgiveness differently? I have a fun little story, embarrassing, self deprecating story that I'm willing to share with you guys so that you can get an idea of another way to look at forgiveness. Okay, here it goes. When I first graduated high school and I went out into the world, and I was at Southern Oregon University, I was extremely beyond clueless regarding anything financial. No clue, really no clue. Like this went on for years. But I had no credit, as is normal for someone of that age and in that life space. And I got to the mall, and of course, every store I was shopping at wanted me to open a credit card. And I did. I opened like 5 of them in 48 hours or something ridiculous. So I went around and I maxed out all these credit cards, and then the bills came, and my retail job couldn't cover all the credit card bills. Shocker. And I didn't think much of it. I thought, oh, I guess I'll just pay it when I can or whatever. And of course, they said, "Pay this bill or we're gonna send you to debt collectors." I didn't know what that even meant. So I was like, "Okay." And then the debt collectors started calling me. And I remember one particular conversation with a debt collector trying to collect some, I mean, a credit card bill from a store at that time was probably like $200, but you put 5 of those together and you're a college student, it's not something that's I should have been doing. Anyway, so I'm talking to this debt collector and they're like, "You need to pay this bill or this is gonna go on your credit." And I was like, "Well, what's that mean?" I said that to the debt collector. And she was like, "Well, it means the information that you didn't pay is going to be in a credit report." And I was like, "Is that all that happens?" And she's like, "Yeah, but that's bad." Now, keep in mind, I never even seen my credit report. So I was just like, okay, so there's this like mysterious list that no one even sees that I didn't understand. Anyway, so I just told her, she's like, you can't do this. You're going to wreck your credit." And I said, "That's all that happens. I don't think I'm gonna pay." And she was just speechless and, hung up. And it's funny, after that, they didn't really call anymore. I think they gave up, right? So anytime a company wants to reconcile what you owe them, they're putting time, money, and energy into either trying themselves or hiring this company to bother you until you pay them, right? This is taking resources. They were using resources to come after me to try and get me to pay my credit card bills. And ultimately, I did wreck my credit and, which I just took years till I even knew what that meant, but okay. I wrecked my credit, but at the end of the day, they stopped calling me. They stopped trying. They just put a ding on my report and moved on. Do you think they did that because they loved me? No. Do you think they did that because they empathized with me and just felt so bad that I wasn't smart enough to only open lines of credit I could afford? No, not even empathy, not love, not empathy. In fact, I'm sure they didn't actually care about me at all. What they cared about was their bottom line. See, it wasn't worth it to them anymore to try and collect this debt. So, what I'd like for you to do, if you're someone who's having trouble forgiving someone because you've always thought, "I don't love them, I'm mad at them, I don't want to do something kind for them." Think about it as what you're doing to your own bottom line, your spiritual bottom line, your emotional bottom line, your mental bottom line. What's going to help your bottom line? The idea is not that you're forgiving as an action that helps them. The idea is that if you can neutralize or cut ties to your emotional attachment to that person or entity, if you can do that, it's better for your bottom line. You're not going to continue to use your resources, right? Think about the apology you're never going to get, right? From someone who really owes you an apology. So we all have someone, we all do. Someone owes you an apology and you're not going to get it. So are you going to keep using resources, mental resources, emotional resources, whatever, to try and get that apology? No, at some point, you're going to decide that it's not helping your bottom line for you as a person. So if you can just look at forgiveness like a debt forgiveness, I think that can be really helpful for some people. I hope my silly story helped you. By the way, I have great credit now. Now that I'm 40. So okay, so things I want to make sure I mention before I sign off is um even if you know it's what's best for your bottom line to just hurry up and let go and forgive. That's not always how it works, right? Because we need to process. We need to process what happened first. Don't just, you can't just jump into forgiveness. Like this person, I don't know, took something from me. I'm just going to forgive them. Well, maybe you need to feel the feelings first. The only way out is through. So you need to take the time to be angry. Take the time to process what happened, okay? I think it's great that you recognize and realize how important it is to um remove your attachment to someone or something that's toxic. I think that's great that you can recognize that and that you want to do that and that that's a goal of yours, but just make sure you also process all of the emotions that come with someone doing you wrong. Um, Another thing that comes to mind that I want to mention, what happens when someone you do love does something that pisses you off? This comes up a lot in my practice, actually. So, my clients will have a parent and they know the parent did their best. So, I'll just use myself as an example, because obviously I can talk about myself. So, okay, so my mom, single mother of 4 children, I know damn well she did her best. Like, I know my mom did her best. And so if I go through some processing or hypnosis or any kind of therapy, it might be really difficult for me to say, my mom should have done it this way. And I'm angry that my mom did that. And that just really, I never understood why she did that. Didn't she care about us? It might be hard for me to go through that process because I also know she did her best. I also know that my mom was going through a lot herself. I know all those things are true. So, how can I be so upset with someone who loved me so much and tried so hard? Well, all those things are true. Just because your parent did something that stuck with you doesn't mean you don't love them to be angry with them. You could still love them and be angry about this thing. In fact, I think it's good. I think bring it up, talk about it. You don't even have to talk about it with them. If your parent is still alive, you don't have to go to them and say, when I was 6 years old, you did this thing and I can't believe it. You don't have to do that. Just do it in your own personal process. Tell your therapist, tell your friend, tell your hypnotist, but go through it. Don't skip that step. In fact, if your parent's still alive, I think processing that so that you can really fully let it go might actually strengthen your relationship with that parent. So if you're concerned, oh, I can't be angry at my mom because she's still alive and I love her so much. Think about what it can do for your relationship if you privately go through the process and go through saying what made you angry so that you can really let it out and then get to the forgiveness step. Um, Super helpful for me. Anyway, okay, I have notes. What else do I, because I don't want to forget. That's right. I don't want to forget. Then I want you to also forgive yourself. Oh, that's so important. You need to forgive yourself. One of the most harmful things is to carry around shame. Shame can be a useful tool, right? If you took something that's not yours, you might feel shame and you're supposed to. That's like handy, right? That helps society keep running the way it's supposed to run, I guess. So, but what happens 10 years later? Are you still supposed to feel really bad? that you did that, you know? I think process process what you did. If you need to go make something right, go make it right if at all possible. But it's not helpful to you or anyone to just walk around harboring shame for yourself. It festers, it infects the rest of you. And I think it makes it really difficult to make a positive impact, to get things done that are positive if you're in a dark place because you're just carrying around shame. I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. You're nice to everybody else. Why not be nice to yourself? So, obviously, it all starts with processing what happened, whether it's you, whether you need to turn this inward, or if you need to focus this energy and attention on someone who has harmed you, either way, you need to process what happened. If you can make something right, do it. And then you need to let it go. It's harder to let it go if you don't process it. So process the thing, let the thing go. Or process, make it right, let it go. You can't always make it right. You can't always make it right, but you can process it and you can let it go. So, that's what I wanted to say today because it really, I read an article that said Johns Hopkins did some research that said forgiveness is good for your health. Look, I'm not believing that. I'm sure that's true, but when I started reading around it, I couldn't find anywhere that Johns Hopkins did that research using trauma survivors. So think about shifting your mindset from forgiveness is love to forgiveness is detaching. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Till next time.